to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly in your own narrative, beloveds. Because we are at, it's like the old book of life has closed out and we are starting, not even just a new chapter, but we're starting an entire new book of life, beloveds. And it is so important that we don't allow, ourselves to become part of existing scripts, disempowering storylines, entrapping narratives. We have to kind of expand ourselves beyond that because we now have, it's like a lot of us, our power has come back to us. Our power has come back to ourselves. And so we have the possibility and the power and our willpower now means something where we can really order and orchestrate our lives. But those are stories for other days. Special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us on that platform. And, all those people who send us love donations through PayPal, we really do appreciate, love you. We're hoping to start doing live shows, beloveds, in the new year, on our original channel, Dr. Mumbi Show. So be sure that you're, subscribe to that as well. But today's topic, beloveds, why do they make you fear death? Why do they make us misunderstand death and take it as something spooky and, scary and negative, where we weep and we mourn and we cry? Why does that happen? It's because they don't want you to have a way out. They have distorted the whole death process, beloveds, because they don't want you to have a way out. Because you don't leave this world through death. You leave this world through overstanding, beloveds. And many of us have become so detached from the death and dying process that we really don't know what rituals we're partaking in or what rituals our family members are being used for. And I know different faiths have different, practices. But I really feel for us Christians, we're the ones who have lost it the most, because the minute a relative dies, they're taken to the funeral home and their body is prepared. But many don't know, are their lungs still intact? Are their kidneys still there? Do they take out their heart? I was asking a family member about, what happens, once you take someone to the funeral home. And they were explaining to me how, oh no, now it's up to them. The next time we'll see it is when we're dressing the body. And I was just like, so how do you make sure the internal organs are there and this and that? And it's not. And so I really feel the way death and funerals are being done right now is a massive ritual, and it's a massive harvest for the beasts of the underworld, beloveds. I really do believe, there's a massive harvesting going on. And I think if humanity was to really see what has been done, what is currently being done, many just couldn't handle the truth, beloveds. But they distort death so that they can use it and misuse it for their own rituals, to perpetuate themselves. Because many don't realize, through the whole funeral service process, and many, it's a law. I mean, you have to go through that, whatever. That they're actually handing over the vessel of their loved ones, which still has their energy. And where does that go, beloveds? And so this confusion around death has meant that a lot of people are not able to get out. They can come in, through the birthing process, And then they'll find themselves trapped in perpetual return. Because the way death is working right now is many don't return to their spiritual homes, but they almost go to like a psychic or spiritual like recycling center. This is going to sound crazy to many, where their souls are literally recycled and brought back in. And so they're stuck in this loop of perpetual return, where they don't get to go back to their spiritual kingdoms and queendoms and nations. They don't get back to go back to their fire nations or their water nations or their earth nations. They don't get to do that. And sometimes, you know, their mind is so manipulated because they have so little understanding that they can literally go into a hell scenario or a heaven scenario. I don't know if you watched the video where I talked about how, you know, at the end of our lives, we're met by our ancestors, by our cosmic ancestors. Those are the ones we should be waiting to see, not some white light, not, you know, this entity called Jesus. Who's that? That's like an alien programming, beloveds, that misdirects you. So you don't go into the natural reincarnation cycle where you meet your spiritual family and you come out of this psychosis. The religious psychosis has more effects than just in this life, beloveds. It affects you beyond this life. Because they've rigged death for many people who are in their system. Which means your soul is trapped. And that's why so many chosen ones have chosen to come at such a time as this. It's to help to release the trapped souls who have been stuck in this perpetual return. Because you don't leave this world through death, beloveds. You leave this world through overstanding. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, but if they trap you in your human, you know, you're as great as your mind, your spirit is. You're as liberated as your thinking is. And it's not just about this life, and then when this life is over, you go back, you know, you remember everything. Sometimes you get so deceived in this life that you can't transition properly in the death and dying process. And you see, a lot of us now, we're not even doing our rituals where we would call the ancestors to come for certain souls and certain, you know, our soul family. And they would help their spirit to transition. Because this is just a vehicle, it's a vessel, but it has our energy. So it's still very powerful. It's like a nuclear power plant that goes off. It's still very powerful and should be disposed of in the right way. You see, many, you know, don't understand. Some say it takes the spirit almost 14 days to fully leave the body. So what happens to those who get buried in a week or buried within 24 hours, like in the Islam community? What happens to their spirit? Is their spirit still connected to their body? You see, we have so little understanding, beloveds. And you see, many of us are here now to graduate, to reestablish those bridges back into our kingdoms, back into our queendoms, to help people get out of this perpetual return. And the entire universe, the cosmos, the cosmic beings, the angelic realm, whatever you want to call them, are all working with us. Even the way the world is, the energy that's available is for us to have this huge bursting of souls that have been trapped here in perpetual return. Where your body never gets to go back, and there's a certain exhaustion with life that you can't even explain. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa. Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. They want you to misunderstand death, to fear death, so that you don't understand how you get out, so that you're stuck here. Because you see, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. Our world was hijacked spiritually and mentally first before they took over physically. And then they trapped us to these narratives which make us think that we're fully physical, which is why we're so attached to these physical bodies. But another reason people fear death is because of a deeper understanding, a deeper knowing that there's some kind of entrapment theory going on. We don't leave this world, physically. This is just a vessel. But so many spirits are trapped here, beloveds, because they didn't understand how to get out. Because the whole death and dying process was warped. And the rituals that our ancestors used to practice were totally forgotten, wiped and erased from our memories. And now they're hijacking the graves of our ancestors, the pyramids, and many others to try and understand how our ancestors were able to escape this world. Because, beloveds, we are not all the same. All of us humans are not the same. Some have soul, some only have spirit. And I know many other people talk about this. I'm not going to go too deep into it. Definitely look into the teachings of someone like Rashad Jamal. And who else talks about it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But, you know, I wish we could understand how much we're spiritual beings having this human experience. So we have to understand, beloveds, that many of us are trapped here because we don't know how to exit. We don't prepare for our exit. We don't take our spiritual lives. And that's what I was saying. It's like our world was hijacked spiritually and mentally. And so it's not about physical freedom, but it's about spiritual and mental freedom. And many chosen ones are here to release the trapped souls, to come back to themselves spiritually, and to ascend, to rise, to graduate. Because so many souls are trapped here, they're trapped in this perpetual return, and they're exhausted because they just want to go home. So how do we move into beloveds, how do we move into knowing the way out? It's by getting deeper, releasing things like religion, getting out of the religious psychosis, and really going deeper, beloveds, into who we are, why we're here, tapping into our spiritual team. Because many are here to leave for good and to create a bridge that many others will follow. Not only our bloodlines, but other bloodlines. That's why we're the chosen ones. And it has a lot with the mind, beloveds. It has a lot with coming online, recognizing that this life you're living is a story within a story, that there have been many stories. You're like a series, many of us are a series, like there's so many different Harry Potters on us, kind of thing. So the only way to escape this death trap is to start to go deeper into what was death. How did our ancient ones transition? And go deeper into your spiritual life, beloveds, because then you'll see that a lot of the people who are left, who have left physically, are still very much around you. They're your guardian angels. And some of them are even hunting you in the spirit, the ones who didn't get to really graduate. But many of your guardian, you'll see your grandmother, different relatives that have passed on, moving with you once you open your first eye. And that's why we have to have a deeper understanding of what death is, what the transition is, and start to move our families away from the traditional ways. And I mean, some of it's legal. There's nothing we can even do about it. But us Africans have lost so much, us melanated ones. Because if you look at like a couple of years ago, a very close friend of mine from Mauritius lost her mom. And I just admired how, the whole ceremony took place in her mom's house and they were around her as her soul transitioned. And then I read about how the soul transitions for 14 days to fully like release, energetically release from the body. And this is just the first. I just wanted to do this to kind of trigger you, beloveds, into living deeper spiritually. You have to understand how you get out. It's not through death. And can I share something else? There are many who won't die in this lifetime because they'll graduate for real. But those are stories for other days. Tuko pamoja.